Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. When one party adopts a policy that then everybody moans about because everyone says it's a really bad idea, and then proves it's a really bad idea and shows all the problems that this policy leads to, it's always refreshing to think that out there somewhere is another party prepared to do the same policy and therefore fail before they start. We're going to have a look at this because it's talking about rent freezes. And who's the party that is now proposing it as a really great idea? Well, I'm afraid it's another nationalist party. This time it's Alex Salmond's Alba party. Because obviously they don't learn, do they? These people who vote for independence are obviously very, very stupid. They don't see the problems that one party have had over it. They don't see all the big problems that people keep telling about it. And they go, yeah, but I haven't seen that. I'm too stupid. Let's try it again. This time it'll work. This time it'll be right. And nobody will lose their jobs. What a load of rubbish. We'll take a look at what they're saying and then we'll say again why it's going to fail. Because this time it isn't private landlords. It's social. And that makes the problem way, way worse. Here goes. So, Alba, to call for national rent freeze for social housing tenants. What a brilliant, genius idea this truly is. One can see how it will be successful and how it will work and how it will lead to no further problems in the housing market in Scotland. Oh wait, no, the other thing. It will be a complete and utter disaster for so many levels. Social landlords are actually still private companies. They don't run, these aren't run by councils. Councils have their original stock of council houses that they didn't manage to sell back after the 80s and 90s and so forth. But all new builds that go into social housing are run by companies. Now, they are for not-for-profit companies. They're supposed to be not-for-profit companies. They are supposed to make enough profit that they can use the monies for repairs and maintenance or to buy and expand their portfolio. But there's no shareholders, there's no dividends or anything like that. So you think, oh, that's okay if you freeze the rents, that's fine. You're not having to pay, dividends out. No, you're not. You're not. But you are supposed to pay salaries because people work for these companies. And anyone who works for these companies and there's a rent freeze, well, they're not going to get a pay rise, are they? And so everyone else is hitting pay rises, and we had inflation's come down now, but inflation was running at 10% not so long ago, and imagine it was still running at 10%. And people are told, no, I'm sorry, you don't get no pay rise. What they're going to do? They're going to leave. And of course, eventually, nobody's going to go and work for these companies because they can't afford to pay people because they're not allowed to put the rents up in order to bring in more money in order to pay people. And of course, if you haven't got the cash, maintenance becomes very difficult and is therefore much reduced. And so people are living in inadequate housing. And of course, and the main one, if they don't put the rents up, they don't have the capital to go and invest and build more houses. It doesn't take a genius. Now, like I say, and many of you regulars know, I worked in housing in the construction industry for 35 years. So I know exactly what I'm talking about here. I understand how the investment works. We've worked closely with social housing people. We've built social housing units for various organisations. And they factor in rent rises as part of their business model. They have to. Without rent rises, the whole thing falls apart. And if you're not getting any kind of return and you're not getting a growth and you're not being able to pay people, nobody invests. Why I said this is worse for social housing rather than private rentals, if you're a private rental landlord and, oh, look, it's all getting a bit too much and whatever, and do you know what, I've had enough. What do? You sell the rental property, you kick the tenant out, you sell the rental property, you take the money and you invest it in the stock market or whatever you want to do with it. You get your nice little income off of that without all the crap. However, social housing, you don't have that ability. You're not, by law, allowed to sell those units. and the people living in them have a firmer right to remain in there. And so if you have a business that is basically going downhill because you can't pay people, you can't give pay rises, you can't then offer a competitive salary, etc., and you can't pay for maintenance, but then you'll be on the hook for it because they can take you to court over it, and you can't grow the business by expanding and building another unit or whatever, what are you going to do? You're going to go tits up. That's what you're going to do, and the whole thing falls apart. Like I say, you don't have to be a genius to get this. You just have to have a basic understanding of economics. Very basic. And a very basic understanding of people wanting to get a pay rise every year. Unfortunately, nationalists seem to have no grasp at all of economics. And we can tell 17 years of a nationalist government has proved that they've got zero understanding on economics. But it's not surprising. And then here we go. Ex-SNP boy, Alex Salmond, starts his own party simply because he wants he needs a salary. And then he's saying rubbish like this. I mean, I'm not going to go all the way through it. We can see, I'm just going to read the beginning there. Alba Party asked a call for a national rent freeze for social housing tenants in their manifesto. Alex Salmond's party will call for a rent freeze for over 600,000 social housing tenants across Scotland. And boy, it looks good. And like I say, until you drill into the details. Alba say that social housing tenants are among the lowest paid and therefore the least likely to have seen their wages increase, even though inflation hit 11% last year. Yes, but the people who work for these housing associations, they need a pay rise too, Alex. How are you proposing they get their pay rise? Oh, he hasn't thought of that. No, because he's a bear of very little brains. As indeed are all the nationalists. They don't see the damage that these bing bright ideas have. And they never will they? Thick as custard. Coming up. I mean, if you're on a fixed income and costs go up, there's only one way you're going, and that is down. And like I say, private landlords, they can always sell the house. Social ones can't. They are buggered. They will have to sink. They'll go down like the Titanic. Geniuses, one and all. You know, poor Scotland. You do have a choice between morons, idiots, fools on one side and the corrupt, the criminal and the psychopathic on the other. What do you do? Anyway, have a revolution. That's what we want to do. Never mind. Thank you very much for watching. Do let me know what you think about this, because I think it's interesting, and I think it just goes to show how lack of understanding anybody on the nationalist side have about housing and economics. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and I'll speak to you later. Bye.